guys, it's Cassandra Williams with Educational Innovation 360. This is Fast Track Friday. Very excited. Today we're talking about smart money. How do you control or support your team with your resources? What are you doing to control your budget this year? I hope you enjoy. I don't have to tell you what's really going on. We are all facing kind of this budget crunch crisis. Really being able to understand how do we navigate this unpredicted financial change that we're all experiencing. What are you doing to make sure you have tighter federal funding allocations? What are you doing to make sure you have greater security? Thinking about every dollar that you spent. What are you doing to increase kind of the demand on what is your return on investment? Is this worth our investment? And then thinking about, agility, really thinking about how do we allocate our resources to best support our population. When I think of these strategies, I think of these kind of three big buckets. Our multi-tier spending audits. How are we auditing our budget? Talking about unused subscriptions. That's a big one, especially in K-12 education. How's our data influencing our budget? Our dollars spent, really being able to let the numbers guide our choices that we've selected and our focus and our SMART goals. And last but not least, staffing optimizations. What are we doing to support and create initiatives for even our senior staff? So I don't think I have to tell you the power in a collective kind of purchasing agreement. Really thinking about how do you bundle your opportunities, because we're all purchasing the same thing. And so who are you collaborating with to bundle it? So whether we're talking about technology, if we're talking about multiple schools, things are a little bit cheaper, office supplies, whether there's services that we're all using, if we're all doing tutoring from the same service, maybe we get group discounts, and thinking about what does group rates look like, especially for software. And then there's the underlying save the world, right? The green initiatives, whether you're changing your school out with LED lights, thinking of what do your thermostats look like and the temperature, how are you conserving water, changing the filters regularly, and then thinking about what are the energy cost programs that you can sign up or get your staff on board to support this initiative of going green. Okay, if you know anything about K-12, we have so much inventory. Many times it's year to year, whether it's changing curriculum, but I think some of the problems that I see, especially in schools, we're purchasing duplicate resources because, inventory, who's doing inventory? Really being able to think about how some of our departments or programs or even teachers are hoarding materials and information, really not being able to understand what is used, what is not being used, what is sitting in a closet somewhere or even in the garage somewhere. And then thinking about our last minute orders that are really expensive at a premium price because we didn't really allocate enough funding for specific things. With these solutions, we think about, we're thinking about what is our digital inventory. A lot of our schools are very dated when it comes to our technology that we're using. We're not infusing, LLMs, learning language models, into our LMSs, thinking about what does that look like? How are we centralized purchasing decisions? So one group purchases from one sector, so multiple people are not duplicating purchases. Of course, ordering cycles, which schools do that very well. Thinking of setting minimum stock levels. So what does that look like? And then, of course, tracking. How do we track our patterns to kind of make informed decisions about the future? Right now, principals around the world are kind of trimming their budget, really thinking about cutting back in 2025. So here are the top areas that we see. Of course, paper and printing, right? One of the things we kind of hear is, are you using the program? Are you using the curriculum? We bought these materials, use it, right? So cutting down on printing and paper, reducing that cost. I've even seen some schools put teachers on timers. You can only have so many prints. Utility management, I've even seen that where there's automatic controls for lighting, gas, water, heat, and things like that. I've even seen some outsourcing of resources, whether it's payroll or just maintenance in general. And then I've even seen a collective bargaining with professional development, right? We were talking about group rates, multiple schools providing professional development, getting a cheaper rate because all of them are on the same plan. So really thinking about online planning, online professional development, peer tutoring, workshops that are all grouped to where we are supporting teachers effectively, and it's not necessarily costing a lot because we've all pitched in. Okay, here is Lincoln Elementary School Principal Maria Rodriguez, really thinking about how they faced a 12% reduction in last year. And what they were able to do is thinking about how are our partnerships collaborating with us, really think about what our local businesses, how are they sponsoring, and how are we making it truly an initiative and partnership to make sure we support them as well as they support us. Of building that financial resilience, I always think about how am I sustaining my business, right? We think of schools as companies, these educational businesses, but if we're running it like a business, we have to think about how are we going to sustain ourselves, without all these external factors. So really being able to think about what are our flexible forecasting, how can we have dashboards to kind of model different funding scenarios, different opportunities from the people that we truly partner with and collaborate with. What does our community partnership look like? How are we developing these relationships with local businesses, thinking of donations as well? And then what are we doing to focus on our impact? Really thinking about programs and student outcomes. So if we are truly partnering with community, we are truly partnering with schools, and we're truly partnering with businesses, we have that kind of triple threat, and we can build sustainable models around what that looks like, even looking at the jobs for the future. All right, I'm all about the action plan. What are you doing now? What does your budget look like? What are you doing for the first 30 days? I always say start off with an audit. We want to make sure we know where we are before we move to where we're going. Thinking about the budget committee, who are the people involved, how do they have stake, what are they doing to create innovation within your team, what does your dashboard look like, does it need to be updated, do you have to have more systems to effectively identify some of these things, and then think of 2 to 3 local businesses that you can partner with. The 90-day stretch is really thinking about the inventory. How are we identifying inventory? How are we looking at our cost-saving benefits? And then how are we connecting with neighbor schools to think about what opportunities can we go after that are big enough, because we are a big unit in itself. And if multiple people get into this opportunity, then we can get cost-effective solutions. I hope these tips help. Talk to you later for more. Bye.